one of the best players in the entire sport seems to be on the trade market. And Kyle Tucker is a name that a lot of people who enjoy baseball are very familiar with, but the casual fan might not be too familiar with his game. Now, according to Jose de Jesus Ortiz, the trade's expected to come soon, and with the way we've been hearing the reporting, it seems like the Cubs are going to make the deal. Um, Hearing that they're actually in talks with guys like Seiya Suzuki, Isaac Paredes, and some top prospects. And the Yankees are also in discussions, but I think it's a little bit far fetched to think the Yankees would get that done. I do think the Cubs are a likely suitor, and from that, I'm a little bit disappointed because I would like to see the Phillies in on this. I do think the Phillies can offer a competitive package, but I just don't think the Phillies are have the major league ready player that the Astros are looking for, and I think that's where the Cubs kind of got them beat with Seiya Suzuki and Isaac Paredes. So it's interesting for Houston. They may or may not bring Bregman back. It seems more and more by the day that they are going to bring Bregman back. They let Correa go in the past. They let Springer go in the past, and they re-signed Altuve. He took like a hometown discount. But it's just weird that the Jim Crane is deciding to become a quote unquote small market owner when they're not a small market. They can spend, and they're just deciding not to spend. The only guy that they've re-signed or dished out a big contract to in the last few years was Jose Abreu and Jose Altuve's hometown discount of a contract. So it's very weird that they're going to let probably the best player of that crew to walk outside of Altuve or trade him. And who knows? I mean, Tucker can still is still going to become a free agent at the end of next season. He could always come back to the Astros, and then they look like mad geniuses. But who knows what the Astros are going to do? I think that the Cubs trade is actually a very good trade for them. So we come take a look over here what we're expecting with the Houston Astros. This is as if Kyle Tucker's still on their team, obviously. So you got Altuve, Tucker, Yordon, Yainier, Diaz, and that's a really good 1 through 4. Now John Singleton can only hit righties. He's awful lefty lefty. Not the greatest hitter in the world. Jeremy Pena, we saw what he can do, but ever since that year where he won the World Series MVP, he's been on a bit of a downslope. But the potential is there. We've seen it. We've seen how good Jeremy Pena can be. Now, Shea Whitcomb, this is where they kind of have an issue. This is where they hopefully want Alex Bregman back. And the last two guys are guys that have had success before, and I think they do want to stick it out with them. But let's just say, hypothetically speaking, they get Seiya Suzuki. Tucker obviously would not be there, so Seiya would be your right fielder. And this outfield still isn't that good. Chas McCormick and Jake Myers are guys who have had past success in the past, especially Chas McCormick, but nothing you want to bank on, right? This isn't someone that you're expecting to be great, right? If he's somewhat decent, you're happy. But the Astros need a little bit more. So this is why I'm kind of confused in the trading Kyle Tucker thing. It doesn't really help them. I mean, they'll get Seiya Suzuki. They'll definitely improve at third if they get Isaac Paredes, which would be great, playing in the Crawford boxes over there. And, I mean, any right-handed pull hitter is going to love playing in Houston. So I think Isaac Paredes does make sense for them. But I just think their outfield's still too, not great. And the Astros got to make some moves, but they're, like, reluctant to do so. Because they very easily could make the money to go sign Pete Alonso, who would play amazing because the pool guy in the Astros Stadium for a right-handed hitter and has a Crawford boxes. So I don't get why they're not so aggressive on a guy like Pete Alonso. And I don't know. The Astros ownership has been really strange over the last few years. They're acting like they're not a big market team or not. I mean, they're not like your LA. But there's another team in the town who spends money like it's nothing or has in the past few years, and the Rangers, and that won them a ring. So it's really on Jim Crane, Dana Brown to come together and put together one complete team. Because if you look at everything else, I mean, the rotation's not too bad, although they're looking to trade Framber Valdez. So that's interesting. And the bullpen is good, right? These four guys had a really good year. Brian King was even good last year. And then Caleb Ort was not too bad either. Not many innings between King and Ort, but everyone else pretty decent. Now, if they're looking for more out of Josh Hader, he makes way too much money as a closer at 3.8. They're looking to potentially trade Presley, and I think that's a move that's a salary dump. That's what it is. But Presley is coming off a really bad year for his standards. But people can't forget this dude's one of the best postseason pitchers we've seen in the last 10 years, in the last decade. Dude's lights out when it matters in the postseason. And they got some guys coming back, right? Javier, who's probably not going to come back until maybe end of the 25 season, or beginning of 26. JP France, another guy who knows, but they're in an interesting spot right now. And I do not think trading Kyle Tucker is the move that they want to make, but we shall see where they decide to go. Before we talk about the Yankees and what a potential trade might look like for them, let's look at the Cubs, who seem to be the favorite at this moment. The Cubs need a Kyle Tucker, right? Simple as that. This is a team that's on paper doesn't look too bad, but for some reason the results are just not there. Um, Ian Happ coming off a down year. Dansby Swanson has been awful since he's got there. And just look at the lineup, right? This lineup is not great. Not much pop. You have three guys who hit over 20 home runs. And it's just not a great lineup. And you'd be adding with Kyle Tucker, one of the best offensive players in the sport, one of the best defenders in sports. He's a former Gold Glover, a guy who can run the bags, a guy who has pop. I mean, it's a really good move for the Cubs if that's what they decide to do, but that can't be it for them. All right, so we look at their team standings hitting wise last year, below average when it came to batting average. Decent on base percentage. They were top 10. OPS 13, about middle of the league. They're about middle of the league in home runs. They're one of the bottom teams in the league. Good running team, it looks like, with the stolen bases, but they need to get this better to match with their starting pitching. I mean, look what their starting pitching did with the ERA. It's one of the best in baseball. Top 10 whip team. Didn't walk anybody. They didn't strike anybody out, but that their ERA was low, so they're a team who thrives off ground ball pitchers and defense. They allow a lot of hits and some home runs are going to come out the park, but they allow guys hit their pitching, right? Shoto Imanaga, great first year. He comes over 173 innings, a 2.9 ERA, was at a ridiculously low ERA at one point in the year. Potential Cy Young candidate. Justin Steele, another great year for him, although not that many innings pitched, was coming off a pretty solid year where I believe he took second in the Cy Young. Jamison Tyon got a really good year out of him, 165 innings to a 3.2, and they just added Matthew Boyd. So this rotation is not bad at all. I actually kind of like the rotation, the upside of it. And their bullpen is, it's not the greatest bullpen in the world, right? It's, there's a little bit confusing, but they went out and addressed it with a guy like Eli Morgan, who they traded for. But they don't have a guy who's locked down. If they're going to go with Peter Hodge as that lockdown closer role, then so be it. But I just don't think that this is a great bullpen. I do think the rotation is good enough, though, so they've just got to address the bullpen a little bit. As we see right here, they're not very good. They're a below-average bullpen. But this is more about Kyle Tucker. So let's focus on that. Kyle Tucker would be great for this lineup, but he cannot be the only thing for this lineup. That's the issue, right? This lineup needs a lot more than Kyle Tucker because let's just take a look at Ian Happ, who's a guy that's probably going to get traded soon. Dansby Swanson, they went out and paid big money for. Has been disappointing. Cody Bellinger, 95% chance that he's gone, especially if they get Tucker. He will be gone. Same for Seiya Suzuki. Seiya Suzuki will be in the package to get Tucker. Michael Busch was pretty good last year. Really good pop in the bat. They got themselves someone that is going to be a good first baseman for them for the future. So I like Michael Busch. Isaac Paredes, a guy who they got at the deadline, but another guy that they're looking to trade for Tucker. So out of the top 5 guys, 3 of them are pretty much gone if they get Kyle Tucker. Nico Warner, a guy that they've also been talking about trading, but who knows what they'll do with him. Great defender, one of the best in the league, won a Gold Glove 2 years ago, but not much offensively, but a team would like to tap into Nico Warner's defense, and maybe they can get a little bit something out of him offensively. Pico Armstrong, one of the top prospects in the sport at one point. He came over for his rookie year last year. Not great. It simply just was not a great rookie year, but great defensively, can run really well, and you just got to take strides with a guy like that, right? I mean, he's not old. Just he's 22, will turn 23 during the season, so there's plenty of time to roll with Pete Crow Armstrong to hopefully get something out of him. And Miguel Amaya is just not good. It's simple as that. He is not good. They're addressing this somehow with a Matt Thias signing, but that catcher position is just weak. Simple as that. It is not a good catcher position. And I like the Kyle Tucker trade for them because every team benefits from having Kyle Tucker, but this team right here, this isn't a move where it's Kyle Tucker and they're set. They need Kyle Tucker and more because, like I said, hypothetically speaking, they're losing 1, 2, 3 in their top 5, maybe 4 in their top 6, and maybe 5 in their top 7. Those are all guys that have been discussed in trade rumors. So, what are they going to do? I mean, 2 of the guys would be gone for Tucker, on top of their top prospects. So we come up here, look at a guy like Matt Shaw, Cade Horton have been the 2 big names for who's going to get traded. So you lose 2 of your top prospects. You lose 2 guys who were in your lineup actively. You got to trade one. You got to trade one of them because they don't want to keep Bellinger, and you got to give up some top prospects. Cam Smith is the other guy that they were discussing about trading. So the Cubs are in a weird spot, right? Obviously, we know the talent Kyle Tucker is, right? Let's just look at him over the years. Not a great rookie year, but we look at the next few years. Look at the hitting stats. One of the best hitters in baseball. Then he keeps getting better, and he gets better every year. To now, at this point, 2021, he's in MVP conversations. 2022, in MVP conversation. I mean, this guy is elite. 2023, in a small sample size, elite. This guy was that good. And I think that anyone can benefit from him, but I think a team who could benefit him a little bit more is the Yankees, due to they're in a much better position to actually compete for the multiple-time MVP finalist and vote getter, multiple-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner, Silver Slugger. I mean, the numbers don't lie. Career 139 OPS, coming off a 181 OPS year, but he was a little bit injured, but I don't think that really matters too much because he came back end of the year and picked right back up where he left. To play only that many games, where he played 78 games and accumulate 4.7 WAR, is just ridiculous. I really can't wrap my mind around how ridiculous that is. So, one of the best players in the sport overall, one of the most overrated players in the sport, and he's on the market for a team like the Cubs, who are probably going to land him and go get. I feel like we can't stop talking about the Yankees, but this is what happens when you have an ownership group who cares and a GM who's aggressive, who knows what all the noise is saying out by social media. This is a team who I don't think is going to get the trade done because, let's be honest, can we see the Astros and Yankees being trade partners after all the post-2017 stuff? I don't, but apparently the Astros are willing to listen for an offer that's good enough, as they should, right? I think it's smart for them to listen to the Yankees for a potential offer. But what does that potential offer look like? So they don't really touch anyone 1 through 9 in this lineup, right? This is a good lineup right now. It needs a little bit more of a boost, but it's a good lineup, not a great lineup. A little bit above average, in my opinion, at this current point, right? They still need a lot more. But one of the biggest things that they're going to address, that they're trying to at least, is Kyle Tucker. And let's insert Kyle Tucker here at left field, we'll put Kyle Tucker left field, keep Judge out of center, or we're probably in this situation, you probably put Judge to center, Tucker at right. So let's just say that's the move they make. That makes your lineup look so much better. You'll probably get like a Volpe, Tucker, Judge type of scenario right here. Then you would probably drop Jazz a little bit. But what is it going to take to get him? One of the big names floating around is Luis Gil and Clark Schmidt. It'd probably be one or the other. If that's probably what's going to headline the package, right? And I like that for the Astros. They're a team who knows that they want to get a little bit more pitching, coming off Rookie of the Year campaign for Luis Gil. So I think that's a move that makes a lot of sense for them. Clark Schmidt, another guy who was really good for them last year, although in a short sample size with 85 innings, I think this is a move that makes sense. Now, are they going to go into any of their guys in the minors. Like, maybe do they want a Jason Dominguez? Do they want a Spencer Jones? Do they want a Will Warren? Do they want any of these guys? Who knows? I think that's what's a little bit interesting about the Yankees approach. I don't think they have the best package either. Um, I mean, they're just a team who obviously coming off a World Series appearance, and they had a disappointing start to free agency with Soto, but bounced right back and getting Max Fried. But they're letting everyone know that they're not done. They want to spend more money. They're still in talks for Bregman. They're still in talks for maybe a Pete Alonso move, but not likely. And I think they're focused more on Kyle Tucker right now, which wouldn't you? He's one of the best players in the league, and I think he inserts really well in this lineup. I think he played that lefty bat in Yankee Stadium plays really well. We're talking about one of the best guys in the sport. Simple as that. They give him a solid defensive corner outfielder, which say what we want about Soto, he is not a great defender at all. He's not even a good defender. He's actually one of the worst defenders in the sport. So you add a great defender, you add another lefty bat. I mean, in ways, Tucker is better than Soto. In some ways, right? Soto's still the better player over, especially as a hitter. But if you want to have an overall case, I'm not going to be mad if you say Kyle Tucker. Simple as that. Now there is concerns with Kyle Tucker's postseason performances not being great. He has the 2 home run game against the Phillies in the World Series, but not a great postseason performer. But that he's too good, right? Same with Aaron Judge. These guys are too good to just continue to not be great in the postseason. So they will show up eventually, right? But I think for the Yankees, if they're gonna go make a move like that, they got to go do it now. Judge is going to turn 33 before the next season starts, or right when the season starts. Stan's 35. Garrett Cole is about 34, right? Yeah, 34. Max Fried's going to turn 31. Rodon's 32. This is an aging team. If they're going to go get it, they got to go get it right now because this window's probably got like another year or two. And they always say windows are a lot shorter than we perceive them to be. So I think the Yankees need to go make the move if they can. I don't know if they're going to have the best package. I do think the Cubs have the best package, honestly. I think even a little bit better than the potential package the Phillies could offer, but I do think the Phillies do have a strong case for Kyle Tucker. They were in at least discussions for the format of a trade, but I haven't seen anything else outside of that. It's just been all Cubs and some Yankees. So great move for the Yankees if they want to go down this road. I just don't see it for them. I see a lot more for the Cubs, but if they do, Luis Gil, you're gone, and Jason Dominguez is probably going too with some other prospects. So that would be the trade package in my mind. That's who the Astros want. They want some guys who are ready. So Jason Dominguez is a guy who is just waiting to get healthy to be up in the majors, right? Will Warren's another guy that maybe they would ask for, a good pitcher who showed some stuff last year. So who knows what they're gonna get? But I can't wait to see the saga continue, and we shall see where Kyle Tucker ends up.